I wanted to tell you about our podcast, Drew Blood's Dark Tales, hosted by me, Drew Blood. We're a weekly storytelling podcast where you'll hear hand-picked horror from our favorite authors, accompanied by full audio production and performed by yours truly. I invite you to search for Drew Blood's Dark Tales on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you do your listening, and subscribe for longer episodes each and every week.
This content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion advised.
I woke up to a soft noise. I thought I was still asleep and dreaming until I heard it again. I rolled over, wide awake now, and looked out the window. There I saw it.
At that moment, they pulled back, clearly frustrated, and said in a deep, low voice, "That's not a good idea."
Her mumbling had now turned into belligerent ramblings. She began pounding on the wall between us, shouting at me.
From Killer Podcasts, true tales of horror, bizarre happenings, unexplainable events. This is Disturbed. Hello, and welcome back to the show. This week, we have 4 stories that will make you shudder. So sit back, listen closely, and dive into the horror. In our first story, a strange woman reveals her true nature. Narrated by Dacey Else, from Reddit user Thicky66.
About 10 years ago, when I was around 12, my family and I took a trip up the East Coast to New Jersey. As we made our way through North Carolina, my dad decided we were gonna get off the highway and take a ferry. This one, the Cape May ferry, takes people all the way from Nags Head, North Carolina to Cape May, New Jersey. It was gonna add quite a few hours to our trip, but it was better than driving the whole time. It'd already been a long day of travel when we boarded the ferry around 11 p.m., and we were itching to get out of the car. As soon as the parking brake was put into place, we unbuckled our seatbelts and tumbled out into the deck. Me and my brother immediately ran over to the side of the boat, excited to take a look at the water. We stared over the edge, mesmerized by what we saw. The dark water was angry. Waves were crashing up the sides of the boat, water was splashing onto the deck, the spray was covering the faces of everyone on deck. "Kids!" our mom yelled. Our trance was broken. We found her standing by a steep metal staircase, and she said we were going to the upper deck cabin. We climbed the flight of stairs and stepped into the room. There were 2 main sections of seats, dim yellow lights, and 2 walls lined with windows. As we looked through the glass, all we could see were the lights from the ferry and the endless darkness that consumed them. There was no one else in the room except for one younger, maybe middle-aged couple. They were talking with my dad, who was already there waiting for us, talking to the couple. From the moment I sat down, I knew that something wasn't right with the woman. Her eyes were bloodshot and glazed over, and she was slurring her speech. She had a loud, cackling laugh, and she laughed at everything. My brother and I kept giving each other a look that said, "What the fuck is up with her?" My mom eventually noticed and leaned down and whispered, "She's just very drunk." Now, at the ripe old age of 12, I'd seen drunk people before, but this lady was far beyond anything I'd seen. Time went by, everyone became quiet, and I eventually fell asleep in my chair. I woke up to the captain making an announcement that we were only 40 minutes away from docking and that everyone should make their way back to their vehicles. I told my mom that I had to go to the bathroom, and she told me she would wait for me there in the cabin. As I made my way down the dark hallway into the bathroom, I felt slightly disoriented, either from being half asleep or from the swaying of the ship. Right after I opened the stall door, the drunk woman entered the bathroom. I hadn't seen her in the hallway, so it was like she appeared out of nowhere. She took a seat in the other stall while I began to pee. I could hear her mumbling something to herself over and over again. I couldn't understand what she was saying, but it didn't sound like she was okay. To be honest, I kept waiting for her to throw up. Her mumblings started to get louder and louder, and I could start to make out some words, things like bone, ash, and fire. Her mumbling had now turned into belligerent ramblings. She began pounding on the wall between us, shouting at me. I didn't know what to do, so I sat there on the toilet, frozen, not even daring to breathe, just hoping she would just leave. Then I heard her stall door swing close and her footsteps as they stopped in front of the sink. Or so I thought. I took a breath and was about to finish up when she kicked my stall door, shaking the whole thing around me. Then she yelled, "It's all your fault. It's all your fucking fault." Over and over again, and she hit the door one more time. Suddenly, the bathroom door opened. It was my mom. Apparently, she hadn't heard what was happening, but instead just wanted me to hurry up because the boat was about to dock. The drunk lady left without saying a word, and I quickly washed my hands before leaving with my mom. I tried to tell my mom about what happened, but it all came out in gibberish, and I'm not sure she believed me. Thankfully, I learned an important lesson that day about how dangerous strangers can be when they are drunk.
Starting something new always comes with that voice in the back of your head. What if this doesn't work? What if nobody shows up? What if I waste my time and money? The hesitation is real, and it's usually the thing that stops people before they even begin. But if you're building something, having the right platform makes a huge difference. That is where Shopify comes in. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Whether you're just getting started or already growing, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store with hundreds of ready-to-use templates that match your brand style. You can manage inventory, payments, analytics, and more all in one place. And if people have not heard about your brand yet, Shopify helps you find customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. If you ever get stuck, their award-winning 24/7 support is there. It's time to turn those what-ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/disturbed. Go to shopify.com/disturbed. That's shopify.com/disturbed. I don't know about you, but I like keeping my money where I can see it. Unfortunately, traditional big wireless carriers seem to like keeping it too. For a long time, I was overpaying for wireless, dealing with high bills, random fees, and perks that did not actually save me anything. Eventually, I got fed up and switched to Mint Mobile. I've been a Mint Mobile user for 3 years now, and I can't recommend it enough to my friends, family, and you, Disturbed listeners. Mint exists to fix the whole overpaying for wireless problem. Their premium plan starts at just $15 a month. You get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. I kept my phone, kept my number, activated with eSIM in minutes, and that was it. No contracts, no hassle. Compared to what I was paying before, the savings add up fast. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's mintmobile.com/disturbed. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Welcome back to the show. In our next story, A young woman realizes she's not safe in her own bedroom. Narrated by Kaye Burgh from Reddit user It's Yo Kids Blake.
I broke up with my extremely toxic boyfriend about 4 months ago and had to move back in with my parents. Although the situation wasn't ideal, having a safe space after such a traumatic experience was supposed to be really good for me, except I ended up being anything but safe. It's important to know the layout for our house for this story. It's a split-level house with the main entrance on the second floor. My parents' bedroom, the kitchen, bathroom, and den are also on the second floor, while my bedroom is on the lower floor with my windows facing the backyard. We have a gated backyard with a pool and a guest house that's currently rented out to a middle-aged couple and their son. I think he's in high school. There's a back entrance for the renters, and I use it so that I won't wake my parents up when I come home late. My bedroom window faces out that way, and unfortunately for me, my blinds are stuck straight out. Anyone back there can look into my bedroom if they want. I can't fix the blinds, and I need to just replace them, but I've been lazy about it. The window is also right above my bed, so it's extra annoying. About a week after I moved in, I was laying in bed watching a movie when it felt like someone was watching me. I tried to ignore it, but the feeling wouldn't go away. I slowly peered outside my window, but I didn't see anyone or anything out there. Just to be sure, I also took a peek down the downstairs hallway. All that was there were a few boxes of stuff I hadn't unpacked yet. I climbed back into my bed and covered myself with a blanket, hoping the feeling would go away. Eventually, I fell asleep. The next day, I told my mom what happened. She said that it was probably because I wasn't used to having renters in the back guest house. I figured she was probably right and went on with my day feeling a little relieved about the whole situation. A few weeks went by and nothing happened until Valentine's Day. It was 9 p.m. and I was heading home after an exhausting shift. I just got a job as a server at a local restaurant that's not too far away. And as you can imagine, the place was packed with couples all night. I planned on biking home like normal, but when I got out, I realized that my bike had a flat tire. I decided I would deal with it the next day and started the walk home. About halfway home, that same feeling came over me again. I was being watched. I was sure of it. I looked around the empty streets, but there was no one there. I slid my taser out of my purse and held onto it as I continued out the street. I kept my head on a swivel, ready to scream and jab at anyone who came close. After about 20 minutes, I made it home. I put my taser back in my purse and got out my keys. I went to unlock the back door, but found that it was already unlocked. I didn't think much of it and stepped inside. There I could see that the door to my room was wide open, even though I knew that I had closed it when I left for work. Slowly, I tiptoed to my room, trying not to make any noise while listening for any signs of an intruder. I paused just outside for a moment, and when I didn't hear anything, I decided it was safe to enter. I flipped on the light switch and everything looked how I'd left it. I thought about going upstairs to see if my parents were still awake, but I made the mistake of laying on my bed and immediately passed out. The next day, I had to work the lunch shift at the restaurant. I was about to start my walk into town when I saw the husband of a family that lives in the guest house getting into his car. I asked him if he wouldn't mind dropping me off at work, and he said it was no problem. I jumped into the passenger seat and off we went. After a few moments of silence, I broke the ice when I asked him if he'd seen anyone in the back or by my bedroom window. He simply said, no, and that was that. Things were quiet for a while, until last week. It was my day off, and I wanted to do absolutely nothing. I spent the day binge watching movies, and before I knew it, it was dark out. Around 11 p.m., I started watching a new movie. I was really into it when I thought I heard something outside my window. I quickly looked outside, but I saw nothing, and I went back to watching my movie. Then, a few minutes later, I heard it again. Except this time, it sounded like tapping. I turned and caught a glimpse of someone running away fast. I made sure all the doors were locked, and I finished watching the movie. When it was done, I was getting ready for bed. I felt like I was being watched again, but nothing was outside this time. Even though I was really concerned at this point, I was so tired that I was more interested in falling asleep, so I went to bed. 2 hours later, I woke up to a soft noise. It was tapping on my window. I thought I was still asleep and dreaming until I heard it again. I rolled over, wide awake now, and looked out the window. There I saw it. The shadow of a person standing there. I completely froze. The shadow tapped my window again. Still frozen, I stared and the tapping continued. Slowly, the person outside my window turned and walked away. With that, my trance was broken, and I bolted for the door. I never saw where he wandered off to. Since then, I've been sleeping on the living room couch. I'm terrified that someone is going to keep watching me. I've only gone in my room during the day now and refused to walk to or from work. My friends asked me if I thought it was my ex, and I don't think it is. I think I have a stalker, and I don't know when he's going to tap again.
Next, someone haunting appears, and he's blocking the path forward. Narrated by Sinn from Reddit user StrongMind4852.
This happened a few days ago in my local public park. It's a well-used area with dog walkers, runners, and cyclists, even into the evening. I walk my dog there regularly and know the routes well. It was around 5 p.m., just after dusk. There was still a bit of ambient light left, but the forest itself was dark. I was making my way home after giving my dog a nice evening stroll and had just crossed a pedestrian bridge. From the bridge, there's a one-way path that curves left and slopes downward, with tall bushes on both sides. The path dips slightly about 50 yards in and then rises again. Because of the curve and the bushes, visibility ahead is poor, especially in low light. As I started down the slope, my dog suddenly froze about 15 feet ahead of me. She wears a small red collar light, and when she stopped, that light briefly illuminated a very tall, skinny figure. Even from a distance, they towered over me. They must have been about 6'8" and stood in the middle of the path, blocking my way forward. They also had an old, discolored suitcase, torn at the edges with the handle propped upright. The hair stood up on the back of my neck. They were motionless, like they were waiting for me. Alarm bells rang in my head. At that point, I realized I couldn't easily turn back. I hadn't shown my flashlight at them yet, but there was enough light spill from the bridge and my movement for them to know I was approaching. Plus, the bridge behind me was exposed, which would have meant retreating deeper back into the forest. I didn't want to initiate a chase, so I made the decision to keep walking at a normal speed, pretending I hadn't noticed them. I knew if I stopped, I'd likely freeze. As I got closer, the figure appeared to grow in size due to the slope and lack of visual reference points. They were very tall, wearing a long, dark, point-hooded, draped garment that went down to their feet and was shaped like an upside-down triangle. I still hadn't shown my flashlight directly at them because I didn't want to escalate or provoke anything unnecessary. I was mentally weighing up options second by second until I had an idea I thought would work. I kept walking, and once I was in striking distance of the figure, I snapped the light directly into their face to disorient them and immediately began running. Their face was distorted, gaunt and shallow, covered in black stains with rotten teeth and yellow around the pupils. At that moment, they pulled back, clearly frustrated, and said in a deep, low voice, "That's not a good idea." I didn't stop. I sprinted uphill past them, into another wooded area off the path that was all uphill. I took a glance back, and they were trudging through the woods in the darkness after me. I called my dog back, turned off both her collar light and my own, and broke line of sight as quickly as I could. I ducked through the trees, making sure to keep moving until I was confident there was enough distance. Then, I got low and quiet and slowly stepped towards one of the park's exits. I could hear movement noises, heavy breathing and sticks snapping, but I wasn't followed out of the woods. I got home safely, but the encounter really shook me, mainly because this is a public park, and the person had clearly heard or seen me coming and chose to wait in a narrow, dark section of the path. I'm not sure if they're living in the forest or if they just like to scare late walkers. I don't know what their intentions were, and I'm not trying to run what-if sequences in my head because I'm already struggling to make closure of it. I'm not claiming anything supernatural here. I just wanted to share a genuinely unsettling encounter and a reminder to trust your instincts. Always prioritize getting out over trying to understand someone's intentions at the moment.
Stay tuned for more disturbing stories. This time of year always makes me rethink what I actually wear. I try to keep fewer things, but better ones. Pieces that are easy to throw on, feel good, and hold up over time. That's why I keep coming back to Quince. Quince makes high-quality, everyday essentials using premium materials like 100% European linen, and my favorite, their flow-knit activewear. It's moisture-wicking, anti-odor, and soft enough to wear all day. I've worn my flow-knit zip hoodie at least once a week for the past few months. It's warm, cozy, and stretches in all the right places for comfort. The best part is the price. Quince items are about 50 to 60% less than similar brands because they work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen. You are paying for quality, not markup. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/disturbed for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. Go to quince.com/disturbed for free shipping and 365-day returns. quince.com/disturbed. In our final story, a young man describes what's haunted him for years. Narrated by Bodhi Crowe. From Reddit user BetterIce331.
For years, I've been visited by the same pale old man. The first time it happened, I was only 7 years old. I'm 37 now, and I've seen him 2 times since then. It all started when we moved into an old 5-bedroom farmhouse on the outskirts of our small town, perfect for the growing family. I was excited because I got to have a tire swing that hung right outside my bedroom window. At first, life in the new house went great. My parents were happy, I loved my new tire swing, and I just found out I was going to have a new baby brother or sister. It took me a little while to get used to sleeping in my new bedroom, but once I did, I was knocked out every night. I had the best sleep of my young life. That is, until one night in October. That night, for no apparent reason, I jolted awake. There was no loud noise, but I sensed something. I frantically looked around, trying to figure out what woke me, but everything in my room was exactly how I left it. My toys were scattered all over the floor. My leopard plushie was on the end of my bed, and most importantly, the closet door was tightly shut. My eyes slowly made their way to the window. The street lights were shining down, illuminating the yard. I could see my tire swing under the tree, swaying back and forth. It didn't seem windy, but I told myself it was just the wind. It had to be. I took one more look around my room and everything still seemed fine. I sighed, and just as I was about to lie back down, my eyes made their way to the window. There, just inches away on the other side of the glass, I saw a pale, old man. He had loose gray skin hanging off his bones, draping just like the long black robe he wore. Under his hood, I could see his mouth was agape, and he was pointing at me with his long bony finger. He was so close I could see his blank, pale purple eyes. The window fogged with every breath he took, and his eyes seemed to glow in the moonlight. I was scared to death. I'd never seen anything like that. I screamed and jumped under my bed. Peering out, I could still see the old man in my window, his mouth still open, his eyes glowing even brighter with every breath he took. Within moments, my dad burst into my room, turning the light on. "Dad," I yelled, happy to see him. "What happened, buddy?" he asked. I told him all about the man. We looked out the window together, but there was nothing there. No old man, no fog on the window. My tire swing wasn't even moving anymore. My dad told me I had just been dreaming, or maybe it was sleep paralysis, but that I needed to go back to bed. I kept telling him I saw someone outside of my window, and he kept telling me there was no one there. I wouldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go. He finally agreed to let me sleep in bed with him and my mom. He picked me up, and as my dad carried me out of the room, I looked back out the window, and my tire swing was once again swaying under the tree. For the next few weeks, every time I got ready for bed, I would look out my window to see if the pale old man was there, but he never was. My dad would also check outside and stay in my room until I fell asleep. After weeks, maybe even months of no sightings, I forgot about the pale old man and could fall asleep on my own once again. That is, until I was 17. I became pretty adventurous during high school. I started backpacking and mountaineering. The more remote the trail, the better. During the weekends when I was free, I'd take as many solo trips into the mountains scattered around the Pacific Northwest. It was a weekend in October, and I decided to head to the North Cascades for a 2-night backpacking trip up to the Gothic Basin and Foggy Lake. It's a 4.6-mile hike, straight up with an elevation gain of 2,840 feet, ending at a beautiful glacial lake. By the time I reached the lake, the sun was setting, so I set up camp and unpacked for the night. I got my campfire going and made myself a delicious dinner of peanut butter crackers and fire-roasted Spam. The mountain was absolutely serene, and the moon and stars shone bright. The temperature dropped, and the wind began to pick up, so I decided to call it a night. I put my fire out and got comfortable in my tent. I quickly fell into a deep sleep when I bolted upright, wide awake. I had to pee. I sat there for a few minutes, listening to the wind whistling outside, trying to decide if I really had to go or if it could wait until morning. I decided I had to go now, so I rallied and got out of my warm sleeping bag and pulled my boots on. I unzipped my tent and was about to emerge into the cold, windy night when I looked down. My heart stopped. What I saw was both new and familiar. A pair of old, bony feet. Pale and flat. Metatarsals protruded through the skin. The nails were yellow and curled under. I stared at the feet in disbelief for I don't know how long. Slowly, I tilted my gaze up, taking in the bony white legs and black robe. When I finally made my way up to the face, what I saw were 2 pale purple eyes staring back at me, glowing in the moonlight. His mouth open, bony finger pointing at me. Once the shock wore off, I jumped back into my tent, leaving the door open, flapping in the wind. I could see him standing there, not moving, just staring. After what felt like forever, he just walked away, rocks scraping underneath his dragging feet, until he disappeared over the horizon. I completely forgot about having to pee. I lay in my sleeping bag with my headlamp on, wide awake until the sun rose. Only with the comfort of daylight did I have the courage to leave. I cautiously exited my tent, looking around to make sure the coast was clear. All that was left of the pale old man was the trail of rocks left by his dragging feet. That was the last time I saw him. Over the year, I tried to find him on the internet. I began by researching the old house my parents bought. I sifted through all the previous owners and their families, but none of them looked like him. I went to the town historical center and looked through the archives for events that happened in October, and found nothing. I even searched for pale old men with glowing purple eyes, and still nothing. Who or what he is and what he wants, I'll probably never know. My 27th birthday is only a few months away, and then it'll be October. I wonder if I'll see him for a third time. Let's hope I don't.
New episodes of Disturbed drop every Thursday. If you love the show, consider becoming a member to access early and ad-free episodes. There you can also access our exclusive monthly series, A Night by the Campfire, where we share the scariest stories we can find from professional authors. A few episodes have been released here for free, so scroll down and listen. I'm your host, Doug Bailey, and this has been Disturbed. If you have a story you'd like to share, email us at mystory@disturbedpodcast.com or post on our subreddit, r/disturbedpodcast. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and leaving a review. Disturbed is a production of Killer Podcasts and part of the Evergreen Network. For more true crime and paranormal shows, visit killerpodcasts.com. Our producer is Declan Roars. Audio engineering by Nathan Corson, Sean Rule Hoffman, and Will Pritz. Music by Epidemic Sound and by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Bridget Coyne is our executive producer. Until next time, stay safe out there.